Mass Media.
Mixed Grounds is proud to present I Just Wanted to Push Record, celebrating arts, community, and culture. Part of the Olas Media Network.
Welcome to I Just Wanted to Push Record, a producer's podcast, where lifestyle, arts, community, culture, and production meet. Two producers, two cultures, and a whole lot of flavor. Join hosts Lena and JC for fun conversations, cool interviews, sharing tips, laughing through production hiccups, and celebrating the art of it all. Ready to roll? It all starts with pushing record.
All right. Well, welcome everybody. I just wanted to push record, a producer's podcast. And I'm very thrilled to have a very special guest today. With me is Michael Underhill. Michael is an incredible, talented actor and artist associated with the Old Globe. He has a remarkable background that spans various artistic endeavors. And I had the pleasure of meeting Michael at Invictus because I went. So, okay, you guys need to listen to this. So my husband is physical therapist, right? Mm-hmm. And then he's like, okay, you need to work out. You need to, get better. I'm like, okay, I'm going. So the clinic where he works at is at Invictus. And I was like, oh my gosh, Invictus? Like, that's the place where all these, big people and like, it's so, okay, no, I'm scared now. So I went and then I got to meet Kim, like the owner, I think is the owner, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to take some classes. And then guess what? Michael was my coach. So it was super great. And then we got to talk. And then with my husband too, like he was introducing me to him. And then we were like, all right, like, okay, Michael is an actor. And I'm like, what? Mm-hmm. Where? So as a person that loves arts, music, theater, and all that stuff, I was very interested to know more. So I even went to watch him in different plays. And this was super exciting. But I don't want to spoil you guys. I want Michael to tell us about himself. Where is he from? Like, what's everything, So, Michael, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. And thank you for coming to class as well. It was so great to meet you in that environment in my other part of my other life as a coach as well as actor. But yeah, so I guess, I've been doing primarily theater for almost all of my life. I did it in high school. I think my first play was in second grade. I was in Annie Get Your Gun musical. And then I took a 5-year hiatus. There's a lot to do a musical in second grade. So then I came back to it when I was in 7th grade and the high school musicals. And I had a great teacher in the high school who was John Quinn, who I think for anyone who is invested in the arts and interested in the arts, having folks who can support that endeavor. And for me being in a public school, that was the only outlet that I had. Oh. I came from a family of folks who are businessmen, sales, retail, accountants. There were no artists, actors in my family, So I didn't really know what a life in acting or theater was, or that it could even be a job or career or anything like that. So I'm super thankful to my school and to Mr. Quinn for supporting that, to my parents for supporting that. And I originally applied to my undergrad program at Northeastern as a political science major because that felt like that's something logical to go to school for.
Like something that you'll make money.
Yeah, make money. Well, yeah, I don't even know if that's something you would make money, but I was like, I want to make a difference in the world, and that seems like the place to do it. And almost immediately after getting into school, I called and was like, can I transfer to the theater program? And kind of made a deal with myself that I'm going to do this as long as the world will let me. Oh. And just let me just pursue this because I don't know what it entails or not. Yeah. So that's kind of where it started. And I went to school in Northeastern and got a good training there, and a really formative experience for me in my career, both as a human but also as an actor, and the things I'm interested in, was one of the first professional things I did outside of school, which was apprenticeship with a company called Commonwealth Shakespeare in Boston. And they
Boston.
Yes, so that's where I grew up.
Okay,
in Boston,
yes,
yeah.
okay.
And so Commonwealth Shakespeare Company produces every summer a Shakespeare play in the Boston Common, which is the big open park. So there's no ticketing for the show. There's no, cost for it. It just, if you want to come see,
free.
It's free for the public.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, they get anywhere from 2, 3, 4, 5,000 people a night that show up to these shows.
Crazy.
Yeah. So that was like my
Wow.
first professional experience, was being on stage as Officer 1, Soldier 2, but in front of
Wow.
4,000 people who were showing up just to see Shakespeare because it was being made accessible to them. It was available to them. It wasn't exclusively priced.
Yeah.
It wasn't in this dark room that isn't very welcoming. It was in a place that was for them. And ever since then, I have held that in the back of my mind of how do I continue to create that sense in some way, shape, or form? How can I continue to make theater arts accessible to folks? Because that was one of the first places that I was also introduced to it.
Wow, this is amazing. I'm just like traveling, in my mind, trying to picture that moment, and that's just amazing. How did you feel in that moment? Like, I think I will be like super scared, but then also like the excitement of being part of such a big thing.
Yeah, it's overwhelming. I mean, to walk out and just see a wave of people that just stretches back from where the stage is out and beyond, and the way they have the mics up, you can just hear your voice being carried out across the common, bouncing off the walls on Tremont Street. And the thing that I definitely will never forget and remember is when the audience of that size all laughs together.
Yeah.
And you can almost hear the wave of laughter as it starts in the front and comes back. And that kind of energy feedback from an audience is, and these are Shakespeare shows. They're 2.5 hours long, but people are out there with their picnics, and they're all engaged that full time, and
they're all ready for it, because they know what to expect. Like, it's gonna be long, but I know I'm gonna enjoy this.
Yeah, and they start showing up hours before. Like this, because it's no tickets, no assigned seats, so you get there when you want to set up your little picnic, your little small low chairs, and so we're there. Like, they get there before most of the people some days, because we only show up a half hour before the show.
Wow, that is
they're
amazing.
like 2-3 hours before.
That makes me like, whoo, feels so exciting. As a person that loves arts and all that stuff, it's just, I cannot imagine that feeling and that fulfillment, right?
Yes. No, it's an incredibly special organization and event, and I've been lucky enough since that first year to work with them 5 or 6 times, and will continue to, as long as they ask me back, because it's and I talk that up all the time to people. I'll say, like, if you ever get a chance, this is like the most special experience to do it.
That's amazing, Michael. Thanks for sharing that. So, okay, you're from Boston, right? What brought you to San Diego?
So I came out, so I lived almost exclusively in Boston for the first 34 years of my life. And coming out of the pandemic and was looking for, I had been acting for, 12 years outside of undergrad, and felt like I had reached sort of a plateau of that current part of my career and being in Boston. And I had always had in the back of my mind of getting my graduate degree, getting my master's in fine arts for acting, and had never just seen the moment to go for it, to take that risk of step away from the professionals, to go back to school, to step out of the professional world and go back into the training laboratory. And I went through actually a couple years of auditioning for programs, either getting called back and ultimately not accepted. And so this this last time round, it was my third year audition. I was like, okay, this is the last sort of go for it. We'll see what happens. And I was very fortunate enough to be accepted by one of my top 2 programs that I was interested in, as the University of San Diego and the Old Globe, Shiley actor training program. And it's a 2-year program, very intensive, and it brought me out here from Boston to San Diego. I drove all the way across by myself.
Wow.
It took 5 days to do it, before I had to show up with all my stuff packed in my car. And yeah, that's where I've been the last 2 years to complete my master's degree, which I just finished about 2 months ago, officially.
Oh, congratulations. That's amazing.
Yeah. And I've been telling people it's 2 years is not a long time, but the intensity of the program, I think about, it's hard for me to imagine the time before I started this program. It's because it's been such a present experience of just being 50, 60 hours a week, training, rehearsing, performing as well, doing that all. And it goes pretty much 11 months of the year that you're in school, in classes and training.
That is crazy. Like, I mean, it always amazed me too, like the ability of actors, that they have for remembering everything. In what exact moment everything is happening, what to say, like, and how to get out if you don't say the right thing. Right?
Oh, absolutely. A muscle that you like anything, like a muscle. Like the more reps you get with something, the stronger those muscles become. And it's I feel like I've gotten very good at learning things quickly and forgetting things quickly. So the day after a show or something is done that I don't need it anymore, flushes right out. I don't need it anymore. So it's just like make more space in that,
That is a really good point, because I never saw it like that, because it's like, yes, you have to have that ability to forget quickly, to, get something new.
To move on, yeah.
Right. Wow. Yeah, because we are as humans, we are like habit,
We've got a ceiling. We've got like a limit on the amount of things that we can store and focus on at any given point. And so when you're working on contracts for 8 weeks at a time, you get really good at, and that's personal relationships as well. You get to know people really well, really quickly, and then they're out of your life. And it's not that you don't miss them, but you know that you'll see them again at some point. But these relationships are going to be transient. They're going to be moving very quickly in and out.
Definitely. So do you have any memorable moments, from acting, or funny moments that you say, like, I will never forget this?
I mean, there's so many. I think there was a play I was doing with a group called Imaginary Beasts, and they, the director of this program I worked very closely with for 5 years. His name was Matthew Woods, and he would work with either familiar playwrights and their unknown plays, or unknown playwrights, and he wanted to like bring unfamiliar work and not just recreate the things that everyone is doing. And so there's this playwright and writer, this British woman, Angela Carter, and she writes in a very heightened language. It's very similar to Shakespeare in a lot of ways. It's very poetic, very lyrical. And I had this line that there is something numinous about crossing a bridge by bike at moonlight. And this word numinous is something it's not something we use every day. And I was sitting there, and my whole bit was I was like sitting on stage pretending to ride a bike while I was doing this, all this happening around, and I come up to this line, and there's something, I just totally forget my line. I was like, I blank, and this happens all the time. But this particular one, I was like, what is this line? What is this line? And so I have to keep it going. We are in front of an audience, so the line that comes out for me is that there's something cool, which is not exactly what I think Angela Carter wanted to be expressed in that moment. But for me in that moment was what came up first, to just keep pushing through. And I think I've gotten better at covering since then. But that is one particular one that I will never forget about, dropping a line, forgetting a line.
Yeah, and it's like, what do I do now? all the people's looking at me.
I was looking, you just got to keep going. You just got to say something. So
gotta say something and then just keep going. And people's waiting for you. Okay, what's he's going to say?
Right.
We already know what we had to do, but what's he going to do?
Yeah. And honestly, no one there, I think, was an Angela Carter, expert. So I don't think anyone was reading the script before coming in for that show. So nobody knew, but I knew.
Yes. And that's the problem. Like ourselves, we are the most critical people, right? Mm-hmm. And something that normally that we do is like, okay, I did it wrong. And people's like, not really. Yeah. Like, I didn't see it.
I don't know. I had no idea. Yeah, and you're like, I was thinking about that for 3 weeks afterwards. And you're like, nobody was even thinking about it. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, yeah, that's funny. But I guess this is something that happens to all the artists, Like, you're always going to have something, that you're going to forget or that you're not going to do how you're supposed to or in the perfect timing. So, yeah, definitely. I can imagine that.
Yeah, it's such an interesting, pursuit as an artist. I think theater is one that I think I've always been drawn to because it is so collaborative. Mm-hmm. I'm always impressed by folks who are in more individually driven pursuits as far as like writing or writing music or painting and things like that. That it truly is you are with yourself so much, and we do that as actors. Sure, we need to bring ourselves, but I get the benefit of having another human to engage with, do all the work with myself, but then have some feedback loop for it, and then have an audience that's there as well. I think that's part of the thing that really makes it alive for me. But I have such respect for the folks who can be with themselves and write and play and be so at peace with themselves in that, because I think a huge reason I was driven into the arts and theater and those collaborative arts is because I was craving that interaction and sort of running away from the time just with myself, and wanting to have that feedback loop.
Yeah, definitely. That's such a good thing to say. Like, and I'm a performer myself too. I dance, I sing, and I always hear this like, okay, you're there in front of the audience, right? Showing yourself, just you. Mm-hmm. And what's your instrument? Your voice, your body. And that's like really hard, right? Yeah. Really hard to show, really hard to get out of your mind and just show that you want to express and make the other people feel. Mm-hmm. So, yes, that's amazing. And so I wonder, for example, when, in all those classes that you have and this preparation, you guys have like dance and music and all that. Do you sing too?
I do sing. It's not my forte for sure, but I've done a lot more singing since being in this graduate program, which has actually been a huge bonus for me.
Wow.
I've gotten to train that muscle a little bit more and feel more comfortable with it now that I'm getting a chance to do it more often.
That's nice. So like singing and okay, let me tell you guys, I saw the play Henry VI. Mm-hmm. And let me tell you, there is a scene where they're all dancing, and then there was Michael, such a great dancer. I was like, wow, okay. Can I film this? That was amazing.
That was very fun. That was, I have to credit Chelsea, who was our choreographer for that show. And again, speaking of like collaboration, she created this environment of getting everybody in the cast to move and creating movement sort of inspiration and then pulling from everybody's pieces to create that dance. It wasn't just, she sat there and was like, this is exactly how we're going to do it. And I think it really enabled everyone to feel comfortable with it.
It was amazing. Like, I think that was one of my favorite scenes of the play. Like, it's just everyone was doing something different. Mm-hmm. Everyone was dancing different. And it was just the lighting, the music, the feeling. I was like, I was not expecting this in a Shakespeare play, but that was super fun. That was amazing. Yeah, I love watching Michael in the plays. Every time I know that he's there, I'm like, okay, we're going. We're going to watch and support. So this is super great. Can you share with us any behind the scenes or any secrets in theater?
Well, I think, it...
Like something that the audience might not think about.
Well, I think it depends on every show. Every show kind of has its own flavor and own vibe. And like I said, you get 3.5 weeks to work with folks and, maybe 4 weeks of performance. So every time there's a new element, it creates a different sense of community backstage. And some shows, and again, depending on what the content of the shows is, sometimes people need to kind of be in their own space and just be very serious and focused. But other times there's even in serious plays, like having the backstage, you might think that like an incredibly serious like tragedy like Henry VI, that like it's very somber backstage, that the people aren't gonna joke around or kid around because we're doing something very serious. And no, it's actually in fact that when we go off stage, we are our own outlets from that like seriousness on stage. So I would say that's often where more of the sort of games and trickery or just joking is happening backstage, is during the really serious shows. And I think one game we've played, which is just fun. So you'll get actors in on this, you'll get the stage crew in on this. Sound is just throughout the run of a play one night, someone might say, okay, from the text of the play, we're looking for the best racehorse name. So you just go going through the play, listening to all the lines, and anything that comes up during the show is like, oh, could that be a racehorse name? And then you go tell somebody, see if it's like, is that one? Is that a good one? No? Okay. And you sort of keep track who comes up with the best racehorse name from the text of the play as you go through. And, there's every night there's sort of different games like that. There might be like little talismans, like one of our cast members had would bring in a different like just little animal toy it would just be passed around to different cast members. They would put it in their pocket, and then after one scene they would pass it to somebody else to hold on to. So there's just like these I would say just games and things creating a sense of play backstage that awesome. keeps it fun and interesting.
And do you think it helps like also to lower the tension and the
absolutely, yeah.
Sense of like we need to be very strict, but then it's like, but there is a game,
There's a game, it keeps it alive, and then I think it helps that once you go on stage, that laser focus turns on, right? It's like, we're joking, but now I gotta go, and keeping that moment of coming on stage alive, and I think it helps us also just stay connected with each other, that we're not just being robots coming on and performing the same thing, the same words, the same blocking that we did the night before. Like, yes, there's a structure to it. There's an expectation of recreating the same routes, but it helps keep alive that sense of connection between people, that we are looking into each other's eyes and saying words and expecting something, rather than just, I'm looking past you and now I'm going to say my line and I'm going to wait my line, and that's where that can become mechanical and boring, and for an audience, for everybody,
like losing that connection.
I
was wondering about that. Is there any moments like it is hard to actually find that connection to people? Because in acting, like you definitely sometimes you have to be very close to the other person. And there are so many scenes that are like grabbing and touching others and stuff like that some people might not be comfortable with.
Yeah, I mean, for something like that, there's been a rise, thankfully, in the last decade of a role in the process called an intimacy coordinator. So for, long time, there's been what's called, fight choreographers or dance choreographers of, highly specified movement, that there's someone who is in charge of sort of blocking, choreographing how this fight or how this dance is going to go, and checking in with each actor's comforts, strengths, weaknesses. What are you good? How can we do this? How can this be precise? How can everybody expect this to be safe and repeatable and not harmful to anybody? And only very recently is the idea of an intimacy coordinator who comes in and for moments of, kissing, touching, holding, even just very intimate, conversations, that, it's this idea of theater and acting is it's very close to what we're emoting and feeling, right? So like to have someone there who's responsible for crafting it safely in a way that everyone knows exactly what is going to be happening and expecting what's going to be happening, so that there's no power dynamic imbalances. There's nobody being taken advantage of or afraid to speak up. And it just creates a much safer environment for everybody to then relax into that moment where if there's any sort of uncertainty or feeling unsafe, like there's going to be tension, there's going to be an inability to be vulnerable and to trust the person in front of you. You truly do allow yourself to be vulnerable. And that's, I think, what we go to theater to watch film, TV for is to be vulnerable with people being vulnerable. Yeah. Because it can be very hard every day to be vulnerable with other people, and to watch sort of versions of yourself on stage being vulnerable with other people allows you to just experience that at a distance and maybe realize something that you haven't realized about yourself or have been avoiding, and you get to engage with that on stage in a way. And so for us as the actors who are doing that 6 to 8 nights a week, having someone who is responsible for making sure that our emotional well-being is being taken care of, our mental well-being is being taken care of, is incredibly important. And it's one of the best advancements in the industry in the last decade, I would say. That's
amazing. I'm glad I asked that question because I didn't know about that. Like, it's amazing. I thought it was just like, you get ready and then you deal with your emotions. I mean, there's always a safety place, right? But then it's like, I didn't know that it was someone to be watching over, those things like about the intimacy, about the, how you feel, your emotions and your body, all that. That's amazing.
Yeah. And it gives guardrails for everyone who comes in, because everyone's going to, it's not like something that not everyone's going to feel the exact same way about certain things. And not everyone is going to be able to be given the same exact playbook of this is how we do this. So it's incredibly unique and specific to every individual who's engaging with it, which is, I think, again, super important.
Just taking a quick pause here. Enjoying the convo so far? Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more fun, tips, and stories from Lena and JC.
Mixed Ground Coffee, founded in 2020, is where culture builds community. Located in San Diego's Logan Heights district, this Vietnamese-owned micro-roastery brings you the world's finest beans, roasted in small batches. Mixed Grounds is proud to present I Just Wanted to Push Record on the Olas Media Network.
From the Nest is a podcast for those who are looking to go beyond degrees, webinars, and corporate titles. We talk fundraising strategies and career experiences with a side of fun and emotion. Take a listen to the next episode of From the Nest with Charity Jen, where fundraising takes flight. Follow or subscribe at olasmedia.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
Like we talk about in the show, there are a lot that goes into a successful podcast, more than just pushing record. Whether you're new or seasoned, if you're looking for someone to make your great show idea a reality, then we've got your back. Check us out at olasmedia.com and see how we can help you push record on your next big project.
And we are on. Oh, wait. I almost forgot to push record. Now over to Lena and JC.
How do you prepare? Do you have any rituals that you do before, when you start getting ready for a play or,
Yeah, I think, this process of, so there's the rehearsal process where I think a big focus is getting the words in my brain, right? Is trying to get comfortable with getting the words in my brain and then allowing myself to not be thinking about that so that I can just be present again.
Yeah.
When we get into a performance, once we're stopping the creation or the exploratory process, and now we're in the repetition process, I love having a routine every day of, for me, getting to the gym in the morning, getting to sort of like getting my body in through sweating, work out some anxiety there, allow myself to like have my coffee, have a good meal. And then by the time I get to the theater, particularly if I have a active track that is like I'm coming off and on stage a lot, I like to just walk my track of like, okay, I enter from here and then I cross stage here, I exit, and then I cross backstage here and I come back over, and then this is where I make my next entrance, and then I exit up here. And for me, it just helps sort of visualize the play, the track, not just the play, but just, how I'm going to be going through the evening. I like to find my rituals of like, okay, this is where I sit during this break in between scenes.
Yeah.
This is where I sit during this break between scenes. For me, I'm very much a creature of habit in that way. So I like to know if I start talking to somebody in a space that is not usually where I am, I'm much more vulnerable to missing an entrance or being like, oh no, where are we? And it's, so that's I think a big ritual of, including, vocal warm up, physical warm up for the show. But that walking the track is always very nice visually for me to just kind of implant myself in the space, in the environment of what I'm going to be getting into that night.
Yeah, it's good. That's good. Yeah. And just now that you're mentioning that, I'm like going on my brain and imagining in this scene, I need to get in, right? But then not only walk in, but I need to be saying something or doing something. Mm-hmm. So definitely that will help the planning and the organizing in your brain, how it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Right?
And all the things that allow me to just, when it gets to the time where I'm in front of an audience, that I'm not thinking about that track. I'm thinking about what it is I'm trying to get from somebody on stage or get from a character, or what's my intention. The details and logistics I can let fall because it's in my muscle memory. It's in my DNA, right? I've already walked it once. I don't need to think about that. I can just be, again, present. That's everything, all the rituals, all the things are goals to allow myself to just be vulnerable and present in whatever the moment is.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. It's super great. It's super great. If you get the chance, you're here in San Diego, go to the Old Globe and watch the plays where Michael's going to be. Please check. Because it's amazing. I'm telling you, this is really great. So, Michael, we're getting close to our wrap up. And I wanted to know, outside, acting, coaching, what does Michael like to do?
Oh gosh, when I do have time, and this has actually been a fun journey of, I think for a big period of my life, overscheduled myself because free time I didn't know what to do with because being busy filled me with purpose, right? And if I wasn't busy, I felt like I had no purpose. But I've gotten better lately. I particularly this past year have really enjoyed going on long walks and calling my friends and family back on the East Coast on Saturday or Sunday mornings. That's been a great habit of reconnecting with people. And I also sports is a nice, easy watch for me of having my teams, and it's something that I have a investment in, but I'm not life or death with it anymore as I was. It's something I was like, okay, they lost, that's fine. But but it's an unexpected outcome. So watching sports, engaging in sports is something. Playing sports, if there literally any sport with a ball or something like golf, tennis, basketball, like I love to engage in games in that way as well. So I would say those are the things that I really do enjoy to do. It's important for everyone to be finding their purpose, finding their passion, finding the parts of their life that give it meaning, and that can be anything. And I think it can be, and it doesn't have to be anything big or huge or grandiose. And I just, I think I spent a long time, even as I was pursuing theater as something that was my passion, I think misplaced purpose, within it of the idea of success was there. And I think encouraging everyone to be very honest with themselves about what is it that, brings you fulfillment and happiness, and trusting that, and sort of defining what success looks like for yourself, rather than relying on anyone else or any other metric to define that success. Like letting yourself define your success, because that's the only way we're ever going to feel fulfilled, is that if we are in control of that. So it's something I'm still working on, and I think we'll continue working on into infinity. But it's something I think about a lot these days. So encourage everyone to define their own success with that.
Yeah, I can relate to you, because I'm always busy, and it's like it's hard when you have some free time. It's like you feel you're missing something, or you forgot to do something. Mm-hmm. Is that the type of feeling you got?
Oh, yes. I should be doing something. I should be more productive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I can relate to you on that. I'm always doing something, and it's like, well, when are you going to stop? Well, that's what I like to do. Or
exactly. I like to be busy.
I like to be busy.
To be filled with that validation that I'm doing something important.
Yes.
When in reality, having just time with yourself is also validating and important, and that's a constant reminder for myself.
Yeah, no, definitely can relate to that. Michael, what's a future project for you? What's coming for you?
Well, my current project is As You Like It, with the Old Globe's Globe for All program, where we go out to the community and we bring the show to a different place every day with the community partners, which has been fantastic. Wow. We opened last week, and we run through November 24th. So that will be my sort of last San Diego project. And then I will be going home to Boston for the holidays, and I will be moving to New York to go.
You're leaving us.
I'm leaving.
No.
I'm leaving. Well, for now, I guess. I've discovered, coming from the Northeast, that San Diego is a really great place to be in the winter months. So I'm always looking for that, next contract that'll bring me back here for the next 2 months at a time, especially in January, February. It's been a long time goal of moving to New York and making it, as an actor, and that's going to be my next chapter.
Wow! No, well, I'm excited, but I'm sad. It's like no.
Oh, don't get me started. I'm also very bittersweet about it.
Oh no, but I know really good things that are going to come your way. You're working super hard. I admire that, because this dream, because it started as a dream, and then that fulfillment that you're looking for, it's not only it's there. Mm-hmm. You have to work really hard, hard for that. Yeah. And I admire that, because I haven't had the courage to do it in some things in my life. And then when I see someone doing it, I'm like, wow, that takes a lot. That takes sacrifice, time, It's everything. Look, you move from another coast to here, chasing that dream, and now you're going to move again and leaving us.
And leaving a very, just warm community. I've made a lot of friends here. And again, it's hard to think about the time before I was here. 2 years is not a long time, but it is. It's been a very fulfilling, grateful time for me, and I honestly can't wait to come back. I know that it'll be a place that I do come back to, and knowing that I have so many friends, family here to come back to. Hopefully for work, but otherwise just to visit would be great too.
Well, now I need to know. I need to get in the loop, for your next, goals in there in New York. Maybe I can go and visit and watch it. Because I'll be super excited, That would be amazing. Yeah. Well, Michael, we always have like a serious question here in this show.
Great.
And I had this one for you. If you were a superhero whose power was determined by your favorite snack, what will your superpower be?
Oh, boy. Okay. Well, I am...
It's a very serious question.
It's a very, very serious question, and I'm taking it very seriously. I'm a big fan of cookies and chocolate chip cookies. I have a sweet tooth. And actually limiting it to just cookies would be a lie. So I think my superpower probably would be having access to any bit of sweets that I want, whether it's gummy bears or chocolate or something, just as I could, like the snap of a finger.
A snap?
Yeah, exactly. I could just make it appear for myself. That I think would be.
And then all the sweets will come.
Exactly. Just I don't have to carry it around with me. I can just, whatever is on my mind, just.
What will the name of that superhero be?
I think it would have to be the Candyman.
The Candyman.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for answering this extremely serious question. Thank you so much, Michael. Where people can find you? Like, do you have social media? Where can they see where's the next?
Yeah. So I think Instagram is probably the place that I update the most. That's Michael James Underhill. And then my website, I also post your things as michaeljunderhill.com. Where's any information about upcoming shows or things that are going on.
Awesome. Well, everybody, I'm going to put all those links in the show notes so you can just click and visit Michael and check what's next for him. And thank you for tuning in with us. And I just wanted to push record. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you so much, Lena.
Thank you for listening to I Just Wanted to Push Record, a producer's podcast. Be sure to follow and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. To hear other episodes or read the associated blogs, visit olasmedia.com. And be sure to follow us on Instagram with the handle Olas Media Studio. I Just Wanted to Push Record, a producer's podcast, is produced in studios in San Diego, California, and Tijuana, Baja, California. Olas Media is an IVC media company.
Olas Media.